Breaking Tropical Storm Milton updates. Ladies and gentlemen, Rex Bear Leak Project. I hope you're safe. Hope the force is with you. Let me give you a quick update on the NHC storm description here. This is directly from NOAA. October 6th, 1500 UTC time, tropical storm warning issued for the north coast of Yucatan. The risk of life-threatening impacts increasing for portions of the Florida west coast as of 10 a.m. Central Time, Sunday, October 6th, with maximum sustained winds of about 65 miles per hour. This is the latest information. Let's take a look at the satellite imagery right here. Look at that. That is intense. Halo, real quick. There's a revolution happening right now above our heads. It's about to make silver more precious than ever. The sun's power is taking over the world. It's growing so fast, it'll be the biggest source of electricity by the 2030s. Solar. Oh yeah, here's the kicker. Every single solar panel needs silver to work. We're talking about a silver paste web in every panel, turning sunlight into power. Smart investors are already making their move, and that's where Noble Gold Investments comes in. If you go to leakprojectgold.com, Noble Gold with the silver IRA, you can surf this incredible wave of growth. It doesn't matter who sits in the White House or what Wall Street does. Oh yeah, solar power is unstoppable, and silver is the secret weapon. As the world goes green, your retirement could see the silver lining. Don't let this opportunity slip through your fingers in 2024. Visit noblegoldinvestments.com or leakprojectgold.com. Get the free ebooks, How to Get Out of the Rat Race, countless 5-star reviews, A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. Noble Gold is the gold company that I trust. And if you qualify, this is super cool, you'll be gifted 10 ounces of solid silver. You could go with this 10-ounce solid silver American flag bar or 10 1-ounce silver Trump rounds. Call up Noble Gold Investments today, 1-877-646-5347. And let's get back to the podcast. Hurricane Milton, the latest, released today. Key messages for Tropical Storm Milton directly from NOAA.gov. It's forecast to quickly intensify while it moves eastward to northeastward across the Gulf of Mexico and be a major hurricane when it reaches the west coast of the Florida Peninsula midweek. Users are reminded to not focus on the details of the forecast as there remains significant uncertainty in the eventual track and intensity of Milton. While it is too soon to specifically or specify the exact magnitude, nanu, and location of the greatest impacts, there is an increasing risk of life-threatening storm surge and damaging winds for portions of the west coast of the Florida Peninsula beginning Tuesday night or early Wednesday. Storm surge and hurricane watches could be issued later today or tonight. Residents in the Florida Peninsula should follow any advice given by local officials and check back for updates to the forecast. Areas of heavy rainfall will impact portions of Florida today and Monday, well ahead of Milton, with heavy rainfall more directly related to the system expected later on Tuesday through Wednesday night. This rainfall will bring the risk of flash, urban, and aerial flooding, along with the potential of moderate to major river flooding. Tropical storm conditions are expected beginning Monday across portions of the northern Yucatan Peninsula of Mexico, where a tropical storm warning is in effect. Wow. For more information, go to hurricanes.gov. If you go to tallahassee.com, Governor Ron DeSantis has expanded a state of emergency to 54 countries ahead of Hurricane Milton, which could bring Category 3 winds and surge or worse to the Florida Peninsula. Areas at the greatest risk are communities still reeling from last month's Hurricane Helene and Hurricane Ian from 2022. The state of emergency includes the following counties: Allucha, Baker, Bradford, Brevard, Broward, Charlotte, Citrus, Clay, Collier, Columbus, DeSoto, Dixie, Duval, Flagler, Gilchrist, Glades, Hamilton, Hardy, Hendry, Hernando, Highlands, Hillsborough, Indian River, Lafayette, Lake, Lee, Levy, Madison, Manatee, Marion, Martin, Miami-Dade, Monroe, Nassau, Okeechobee, Orange, Osceola, Palm Beach, Pasco, Pinellas, Polk, Putnam, Sarasota, Seminole, St. John's, St. Lucie, Sumter, Suwannee, Taylor, Union, and Volusia counties. Now, if I mispronounce those words, I apologize. This is obviously a very big deal as warnings of possible life-threatening conditions on the coast of Florida. Now, I want to jump into this because this is a really big deal and not many people are talking about it. You can go to Cairo7.com news. Mount Adams rumbling. Is the sleeping giant waking up? Well, during September, Mount Adams, the largest volcano by area and volume, was more active than it has been in decades. According to the U.S. Geological Survey, Cascades Volcano Observatory and Pacific Northwest Seismic Network reported 6 earthquakes with magnitudes ranging from 0.9 to 2.0. Typically, the active volcano has a single earthquake every 2 to 3 years, but September has been the most active month since records began in 1982. That was just 2 years after Mount St. Helens erupted. And this is from OPB.org. Washington, Mount Adams has seen unusual earthquake activity. 70 miles north of Portland, approximately, one of the sleepiest and active volcanoes in the Cascade Range. A small earthquake every few years is typical, but it's shaken up expectations recently with 6 small quakes in September alone. John Major, scientist in charge with the U.S. Geological Survey in Vancouver, said there's no cause for alarm. He recently joined OPB environment editor Courtney Sherwood to discuss the latest seismic readings, how they're opening the door to new research into Mount Adams, and why scientists are confident there's no connection between the Cascade volcano chain and a strange odor that drifted down the Interstate 5 corridor. What was that strange odor that drifted down the Interstate 5 corridor? Because I read about that on social media, and somebody was actually turning that into a bigger story than it was. And it was kind of like, okay, a little bit offsetting, right? Because a lot of people are already concerned about it. And, I want to make a point also. I've read through some of the comments in the comments section, and a few comments were like, Rex, I've been watching you for years, man. What's up with all the fear porn? First of all, there's no fear porn here. Be prepared, not scared. That's my motto. I'm sharing with you mainstream articles that are hitting the news, and maybe you missed it. And I'm sharing with you as much as I can with information I think you need to know about, and no fear here. So take it easy. I think a lot of people weren't even watching the videos. They saw the thumbnail, it spooked them out, and then they thought I was fear porn. No doom. Be prepared, not scared. But here's Mount Adams. And if you look at the area, so Mount Adams, it's like a trifecta of volcanoes. You've got Mount Adams, Mount St. Helens, which you can see over here, and then Mount Rainier up here. It's like a triangle of volcanoes. That's where the Northwest Triangle is, not the Bermuda Triangle, but the Northwest Triangle. Close to this area is where, who was the pilot back in the 40s that saw flying saucers and really put the flying saucers phenomena on the map? I'll look that up in a minute. I'm sure you could tell me in the comment section. But Mount Adams is massive. It is a massive volcano. And if you've ever had a chance to go out here and visit the area of the Northwest, it's beautiful. It's filled with rainforests and beautiful trees and wildlife. It's like a place that's so beautiful that even though it rains all the time, you can be happy and depressed at the same time because of all the rain. But let's look at this volcano, because if we look at the most recent activity, Mount Adams was active about 1,000 years ago. Most people don't realize this. The volcano has produced a larger volume of eruptive material during the past million years than any other Cascade stratovolcano except Mount Shasta. Mount Adams lies in the middle of the Mount Adams volcanic field, which includes at least 120 mostly basaltic volcanoes that form spatter and scoria cones, shill volcanoes, and some extensive lava flows. The volcanic field has been active for at least the past 1 million years. Mount Adams was active from about 520,000 years ago to about 1,000 years ago and has erupted mostly andesite. Eruptions have occurred from 10 vents since the last period of glaciation was about 15,000 years ago, approximately 6,300 years ago, Debris avalanches from the southwest face of Mount Adams generated clay-rich lahars that swept more than 30 kilometers or 11 miles south of the volcano, along with the White Salmon River, or along the White Salmon River. The summit of Mount Adams contains a large section of unstable altered rock that can spawn future debris avalanches and lahars. So that's just a little bit about the size and the location. But this is interesting also, because last year there was increased activity in Mount St. Helens, the earthquakes around the area. And then early this year, there was also, even though experts are saying it's not outside of the normal parameters, it's definitely something we should keep our eyes on. Over the past several months, small magnitude earthquakes have been located at Mount St. Helens. The seismicity is similar to what was observed at the volcano from July to December of 2023. No significant changes have been observed in other monitoring parameters, and there is no change in alert levels at this time. Mount St. Helens remains at normal background levels of activity. Since February 1st, 2024, and this article is a couple months old, approximately 350 earthquakes have been located at Mount St. Helens by the Pacific Northwest Seismic Network. Over 95% of the earthquakes have been less than magnitude 1 and are too small to be felt at the surface. The number of earthquakes located per week reached a peak in early June at 38 events per week. The largest earthquake has been a magnitude 2 that occurred on May 31st, 2024. Earthquakes are occurring at a median depth of about 3.5 miles below sea level, which is approximately 4.6 miles below the crater floor. Then it goes on to say short-term increases in earthquake rates are common at Mount St. Helens and are considered part of background seismicity. The last two periods of elevated seismicity, in 2023 and 2024, represent the largest short-term increase in earthquake rates since the last eruption ended in 2008. However, longer duration sequences with more events occurred in 1988, 1992, 1995, 1996, 1997 through 1999. None of the sequences in the 1980s and 90s directly led to eruptions. Small magnitude earthquakes located beneath Mount St. Helens at depths well below sea level are generally thought to be associated with pressurization of the magma transport system. One cause for the pressurization is the arrival of additional magma, a process called recharge. Mount St. Helens is fed by magma that forms near the base of the crust at depths of about 16 miles. Magma slowly rises through the lower crust and accumulates in a reservoir about 2.5 to 6 miles below sea level. Recharge events can occur when magma enters this upper reservoir and increases stresses that lead to earthquakes. High rates of seismicity interpreted as recharge have been observed in the past at Mount St. Helens and other volcanoes and can continue for many years without an eruption. There's been no significant changes in other monitoring parameters like ground deformation, volcanic gas or thermal emissions, and no change in hazards at Mount St. Helens as a result of this activity. The USGS Cascades Volcano Observatory jointly operates the monitoring networks at Mount St. Helens with the Pacific Northwest Seismic Network. The USGS and PNSN will continue to monitor the volcano closely and issue notifications as warranted. No changes have been observed at other Cascade Range volcanoes. So you don't need to bring in your tomato plants just yet. This is a comparison of swarm seismicity in 1987 to 2004, and then February to June 2004 in the orange circles. So the colors are previous, and then in orange, that's recent. Wow, several dozen since the 7th of last month. Okay. The more you know. All right, next article I want to share with you. This is actually something I would just look through when you have time if you want to learn more about the area and about the eruptions and the ground deformations and other signs to look for before eruptions, because there's a lot of data here. Science and Learning Center, Mount St. Helens. But this is the seismicity data that you can look at from 1987 to 2004, and then from 2008 to present. And you will see an uptick over the past couple of years. This is the most recent chart here that goes into 2024. And 2023 and 2024 definitely show an increase in activity here, but it isn't extremely out of normal parameters. But I mean, you can see for yourself, 2023, 2024 over here, the orange, that's this year, and then the blue, the year right before it, the increased levels. There was a little bit going on back in 2018, 2016, 2014, 2008, yet a fraction of what's going on right now in Mount St. Helens. Definitely an uptick. I wanted to show you this also because this is going to give you an idea of how many volcanoes are actually in the Pacific Northwest and how recently there have been eruptions. I mean, you've got Mount Rainier that's erupted several times in the past 3,000 years, Mount St. Helens, a multitude of times over the past 2,000 to 4,000 years, Glacier Peak, Mount Hood, Three Sisters, Newberry, Medicine Lake, Mount Shasta, 4,000-year chart right here. Now, I don't know if you've studied much of the Ring of Fire, but the Ring of Fire is basically, let's look at the Wikipedia definition because Wikipedia. Anyway, the Ring of Fire is a tectonic belt of volcanoes and it's a tectonic belt of volcanoes and earthquakes. It's about 25,000 miles long, up to about 310 miles wide, and surrounds most of the Pacific Ocean. It contains between 750 and 915 active or dormant volcanoes, and that's about 2/3 of the world total. The exact number of volcanoes within the Ring of Fire depends on which region is included. About 90% of the world's earthquakes, including most of its largest, occur within the belt. The Ring of Fire is not a single geological structure. It was created by the subduction of different tectonic plates at convergent boundaries around the Pacific Ocean. These include the Antarctic, the Nazca, and Cocos plates, subducting beneath the South American plate, the Pacific and Juan de Fuca plates beneath the North American plate, the Philippine plate beneath the Eurasian plate, and a complex boundary between the Pacific and Australian plates. The interactions of these plates and these plate boundaries have formed oceanic trenches, volcanic arcs, back arc basins, and volcanic belts. The inclusion of some areas in the Ring of Fire, such as the Antarctic Peninsula and Western Indonesia, is disputed. It's existed for over 35 million years, but subduction has existed much longer in some parts of the ring. Take a look at some of these real quick, some of these graphs. See, that's how a volcano happens right there. It's all right there for you to see. Here's the different plates. Here's a Chilean type and a Mariana type. What's your type? This is a map of earthquakes, the epicenters of the Kuril-Kamchatka Trench. This is by Japan. You think? Yeah. Here's different layers. This is on Deception Island. Now, if you've studied Deception Island, look up Deception Island and that one space agency. Check out. Anyway, yeah, that's a whole other podcast. It's pretty remote. Here's some different eruptions. Here's a crater in Costa Rica. Look at all the volcanoes in Mexico. Wow. We just look at it. Here's the Cascadia subduction zone and the Cascade volcanic arc. It's the red triangles you can see right here. I mean, look at this. Look at the major volcanoes in Indonesia. Wow. Now, my question is, and I want to get your take on this, I want to hear your professional and amateur opinions. What would trigger a multitude of volcanoes to go off at the same time? This is just a question, let's say that there is an incoming planetary body, like Planet 9 is an example, and could it get close enough to the Earth to create disturbances with the magma and the volcanoes and the tectonic plates? Would that even have an effect? And what would the effect be? I don't know. Let's go back and look at this. The latest satellite imagery of Tropical Storm Milton. Look at this. Life-threatening Milton forecast to become hurricane. Target battered Florida. Updates 34 minutes ago. USA Today. Tropical Storm Milton could hit Florida as a major hurricane midweek. It's rapidly intensifying, expected to hit Florida as a major hurricane. Fox 13, Tampa Bay. Here we go. Milton, Kirk, Leslie. Here's the wind speed probabilities. Wow, look at that. That looks like it's hitting Florida, right? My. So it looks like it's going to hit the earliest reasonable arrival time of tropical storm force winds, Tuesday at 8 p.m. approximately. I mean, that's almost 80% of Florida right there. There's the rainfall potential from the Weather Prediction Center. Rainfall amounts of 5 to 8 inches with localized totals up to 12 inches are expected across portions of the Florida Peninsula and the Keys through Wednesday night. This rainfall brings the risk of locally considerable flash, urban, and aerial flooding, along with widespread minor to moderate river flooding with major flooding possible. Milton will also produce rainfall totals of 2 to 4 inches across portions of the northern Yucatan Peninsula. Buckle up, Buttercup. Let's look at the flash flooding potential. Flash flood risk over the next 5 days. Looks like Central Florida is going to be moderate, at least 40%. And much of Florida is in the slight zone, at least 15%. Tallahassee, right outside of the marginal area there, as you can see. Yeah, late Tuesday, early Wednesday. Here's the coastal warnings and watches and forecast cone for the storm center here. You can see hitting late Tuesday, early Wednesday. So, folks, I say be prepared, not scared. We'll keep you posted. And thank you for watching. You can watch our videos on Patreon as well as leakproject.com. We have hundreds of videos exclusive to those formats, long format interviews, incredible guests from around the world, information you're not going to get anywhere else, literally. So check us out on Leak Project and Patreon. And look into that special with Noble Gold Investments. Just go to leakprojectgold.com, click that link. You'll thank me later, and be the change you want to see, folks. Be safe.